Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. You know, I always have people calling me and telling me their stories, and it's inspiring. I have to say, I've seen a lot of things happen with people, and changes happen, and I just wanted to tell you about two of these great stories. There's a lady who called me just the other day, in fact, again, and she was telling me about her life, and how she grew up in a family where her mother was a person who was a drama queen. Always upset emotionally, chain smoker, getting didn't really do anything about the around the house, but the oldest would take on the responsibility of taking care of the kids and taking care of the house and even paying the bills and everything else. And everybody in the whole house, even the other kids, resented the oldest girl because she was doing the best she could. But sometimes when you're being a good person, people don't like you. Look at Divine Mother Amma up here. She got beaten as a kid. They didn't want a Satan in her life. The father would get mad at her. They tried to ship her out, try to get her married, and all these different things. But she would come back and keep going back into this place of, I am pure love. I want to share what my experience with everybody, and you cannot change me or keep me from that path. And it's the same with the same girl, and she had this trying kind of relationship with her mother and her family. And now that the rest of the family doesn't really speak to her, but she has this loving, kind, giving, caring nature about her. And that is not going to go away. It is not supposed to go away. And she finally understood that, this process that I went through made me grow as a person so that I can be even more loving and kind because I can forgive my sisters, I can forgive my brothers, I can forgive my mother, and I can allow myself to move to a higher plane of energy. And and then she's used to at one time, was berating herself, feeling bad about herself, and was down on herself all the time and didn't have any confidence in herself. But once she understood that, this process of learning and growing and being powerful inside of growing beyond with these limitations that were put before us, because these were lessons that we were supposed to learn, and she became confident and she started looking at things totally differently. And then she used to have people, come up to her and say, "Oh, you're nothing, you're just kind of a loser," and that kind of thing. And then she wouldn't stand for it anymore. She'd just kind of walk away. And then she would be confident in her own being and would take matters into her own hands and start making a difference in other people's lives. Actually, she went out and started telling her story to other people. She would start telling her story to all kinds of people, you know what I mean? And she started a nonprofit. And that nonprofit has become a multi-million dollar nonprofit. And she's out helping people, especially abused children who need help and need lots of help. We have, almost 3 million kids on the street right now that have no home to go to. And so this young lady has grown from a situation of really bad, having a drama queen mother and not really doing anything to help the kids or anything, and then the oldest really taking responsibility as an adult. But now she's taken that responsibility that she learned and helping kids who really need her help. And that has made a difference in thousands of kids' lives. And that's really pretty amazing. From, being abused to being the one that helps people who are abused. And that is an amazing thing, a transformation that happens. And every one of us has that transformation. I've gone through my own transformations. Every single one of us has to make a transformation, a change, to be reborn. Even as Jesus talked about, there is that rebirth that has to happen. Even Buddha talked about that. Krishna talked about it. Every one of them talked about that. We have to have this rebirth that happens inside, and we become a new being. And there was a man that got a hold of me not too long ago. He was sick, and he had a lot of inflammation going on in his body. And that's kind of a secondary thing, though. He was on my diet and finally getting better. And so there was also another process that was going on deep in the background. He loved being on a whole foods plant-based diet. He felt good being on a whole foods plant-based diet. He loved the cycle of my lifestyle that I recommend in my diet, and he felt great on that. But his wife would berate him and put him down for it. His kids would berate him and put him down for it. And so he finally gave in and just kind of started eating, whatever they ate and doing whatever they did, staying up at, 2 o'clock in the morning or, eating, fast food and that type of stuff. And then he felt really sick. And he had to come to a particular decision sooner or later. Am I going to die? Am I going to give up my life for this family? Or is a relationship really about allowing ourselves to grow, both parties, so that we can flourish to become more of who we are instead of, pushing and pushing down one person so that, the common status quo is always there, you know what I mean? And that is one thing that a lot of people have going on in their relationships. It's a relationship is always a constant process of forgiving, forgetting, moving on. There's no doubt about that. Little things happen. We have to forgive, forget, move on. Otherwise, there's no relationship. But we have to at least have some level playing ground as far as what do we think is good for ourselves in this life, and allow ourselves to be on the same team. If we're not on the same team, it's almost virtually impossible to make things work. And eventually, this man did get divorced, and he found himself a lovely lady who is very supportive of his way of living and his lifestyle and his ways of eating. And he ended up becoming, a vegan and being very happy. He still has a great relationship with his ex-wife and his kids, but they just don't get together very well. And sometimes that has to happen. Sometimes we grow apart and we need to allow ourselves to move to the next level, the next stage, the next beginning that happens for our lives. We're not always moving in the same direction. Sometimes we're moving together, sometimes we're moving apart. Sometimes, and in cycles of our life, we come together with certain people and we have a certain amount of time with them, and then we leave that person and we come back to another person and we move on and on and on. And it's allowing ourselves to change and grow and become amazing people. We have to allow ourselves to be who we are. It's not to say that a long-term relationship is not good. That's fantastic, in fact. But we also have to allow ourselves to grow and change and become more of who we are. Think of Mother Mary, here's Jesus. He's moving out, telling the Pharisees and telling the people in the temple that, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. And she knew that all the time he was going to get in trouble and they were going to cause problems for him in big ways. But she allowed him to be who he was supposed to be. And I think that's really what life is all about. We're here to support and help one another as we move through life and become a better person, become a higher vibration person. And that's different for every different person. I know people in relationships who are totally opposite, but they come together in a totally opposite way that meshes together well. And then I know people who are very similar in ways in a relationship, and that comes together in a very wonderful way also. So it all depends on the people in the relationship and how they come together. But eventually, this, like I said, this man got divorced, ended up getting married again, and having the life that he really wanted. And I think we have a destiny that needs to be played out. And if we don't fulfill that destiny, we don't fulfill what we need in this life to fulfill what we have to do, we end up with a big empty spot inside. There's no doubt about that. And when we go to the other side, as we cross the veil, we say, did I fulfill my purpose here? And that is the most important thing. Did I fulfill my purpose while I was on this plane of existence? And that's something that we should all ask ourselves. Am I fulfilling my purpose? And that's a tough question. And if not, we have to ask, why not? And if I'm not fulfilling my purpose, why? And then what do I need to do to fulfill my purpose so that I will fulfill that promise I made when I came to this point? Because a lot of us are just going through the motions every day and not really feeling fulfilled, and that leaves us feeling super empty. And it was just getting up, going to work, coming home, doing the same things over and over and over again, and we don't feel fulfilled in any way, shape, or form. So if you really want to make a difference in your life, if you want to make a difference in other people's lives, you really have to ask those questions. Am I fulfilling my purpose? Why or why not? And what can I do to make a difference in fulfilling my purpose and changing my life so that I can make a difference in other people's lives? You know, most people, I just met a man who did a documentary about people who were homeless, and they were all children. You know, they're talking about the 3 million children who are homeless in the United States. And didn't have a clue about this before, and so he did a documentary about it. You know where this man was? He was on the street himself. And a lot of times we end up finding out that a lot of these things that we do come back to what we have experienced in our own lives. And so he went off to be in the Army, and his mom and dad were there, and they got really sick, and he had to come back. He had to get a special dispensation to be able to get out of the Army to be able to take care of them. And they died. And then the estate and everything got put into turmoil, and it got all locked up in a battle with a grandmother, and so he ended up with nowhere to go. He ended up on the street for a year, and trying to make it ends meet as best as possible. And he finally did, and eventually his grandmother, actually, he went to see his grandmother. His grandmother said, "Get the heck out of here, go to the soup line. They have good split pea soup, I hear." Oh boy. But eventually he became a very good director, and became a wonderful person who put together these documentaries about children being on the street and how we can save them and make a difference in their lives. So from his own experience, he grew to become a person who made a difference in other people's lives. And that's what we're all here for. Make a difference in other people's lives. And when you can make a difference, I can make a difference, we change the world. You know, if we say we know, 4 people, they say we know everybody in the world because of all those connections. And so we allow ourselves to grow and change and become a powerful person by experiencing. And our experiences are not good, are not bad. They are lessons to be learned. They sometimes are not easy. That's I've been through some hard ones myself, like living in that 9-foot, 6 by 9 foot room for a year, with no windows, no water, no bathroom, no nothing. It was difficult, but it allows you to grow as a person and change your heart, and from there you become a person you really want to be instead of just being a default person to society. And that's a whole different story. And we grow and change, and we allow ourselves to make a difference in the lives and souls of millions of people around the world. So I hope you were inspired by these stories. I hope you've learned a lesson to be yourself. I hope you will ask those 3 questions about who you are, what your purpose is, why am I not doing my purpose, and what can I do to change my focus and move in that direction. And allow yourself to know that all my experiences, no matter how painful they were, are allowing me to grow and change and become a better person. Every single one of them are to help you if you allow yourself to look at it that way. And have a wonderful day. If you care to get a hold of me, all my contact information is down below, my phone number, my Skype. You can text me. You can go to my Facebook page under Dr. Paul Haider. My website is www.paulhaider.com. And I love to hear from you. My consults are free, and would like to help you in any way, shape, or form I can. And if you would love to subscribe, I greatly appreciate that. And please tell other people. And if you care to make a donation, that is really greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful day. And remember, most of all, I love you.